Very good morning, friends. After a long time, we are meeting to each other in web lecture series. So I am Dr. Sanjay Ambekar, Assistant Professor of Dr. Bapuji Savanthi Law College, Usmanabad. And today, I'm going to discuss with you the introduction of the labor law. So friends, before going to discuss about labor law, before that, we are going to discuss here the term of law. What is meant by law? What is the use of law? Where is applicable? How to apply law? All these issues may be discussed in this lecture. So first, what is meant by law? Generally, you ask to general people, what is meant by law? They will tell you. Law means rules, regulation, norms, principles, etc. Why? These rules, regulation by laws are framed by certain human agents. He will tell you for the control behavior. Then after you may ask him what types of behavior is controlled through the bylaws. That time you will be confused. But because friend, behavior is divided into two parts. Internal behavior as well as external behavior. In internal behavior, there are some exceptions. Exceptions for the internal behavior. But first and foremost, internal behavior, through the internal behavior, we could not gauge or we can't gauge direct inferences, direct knowledge about the thoughts, about the action, about the act. But through the external behavior, external conduct of the human being, we'll get an idea what the action will he take or he will take which types of action. With this knowledge, we shall have to pursue it by its external action, external movements. And then after, it is easy way to take an action against that person. So that is what friend, rules, regulation, bylaws, ordinance, customs, usages, all are framed by the sovereign political authority. Sovereign political authority, legislature, to control the external behavior of the human being, external conduct of the human being. For that purpose, these laws, rules, regulations are framed by certain human agencies. For example, internal and external behavior of the human being, how it's controlled by or by not the law. So here, first and foremost, I told you the law shall not control the internal behavior of the human being. How? You are hearing me? But I don't know what types of thoughts are in your mind. Yes, right now, what thoughts are going in your mind? I don't get any idea. Means through these mental thoughts, I will not get any idea. These thoughts may be, but maybe relating to or pertaining to the criminality. It may be for good act, for bad act. but I could not get, I cannot get, I will not get any inferences. But in case of external behavior, external conduct, I will get knowledge. For example, one police officer, he is performing his duty in the Shivaji Chowk. Meanwhile, one person rashly driving his motorbike means this is the physical knowledge has gained by the police officer. Immediately, he shall have right to take an action against that person who is driving rashly his motorcycle. Means it is possible. When we may identify the external behavior of the human being, that time the we may apply the certain law or respective law. And in these types of misbehavior or these types of illegal act, we may have to prevent through the law only. After that, we are going to discuss number of jurists, the number of scholars have defined the law. For example, Holland has stated law as a general rule. Law as a general rule of external human action enforced by the sovereign political authority. Law as a general rule means already we discussed. Law means rules, regulation, bylaws, etc. So like that, law as a general rule of external human action enforced by the sovereign political authority. Means these rules, set forth rules of law. It controls the external human action, external human behavior, conduct. So that is why these rules has been enforced, executed by the sovereign political authority to control the external behavior of the human being. This is the law. Next, like that. Article 13 subclause 3A. Article 13 3 subclause A of the Indian Evidence Act speaks about law. Law includes any ordinance, order, bylaws, rules, regulation, notification, customs, or usages having in the territory of India the force of law. Means Article 30 subclause 3A talks about the law. Law means what? Any ordinance which is passed by the appropriate authority, then order which is passed by the appropriate court, any bylaws, rules, regulation elected by the certain sovereign political authority or parliament, any notification has issued by the administrative authority, or any customs or usages as framed by any community or any society. Whether friends have the right to breach the customs or usages which is framed by the community or society? No. Means generally no. Why all these rules, regulation, bylaws, ordinance, notification has framed by the certain human agency to maintain peaceful atmosphere in the society. For that purpose, all the rules, regulation has framed. Number of norms has framed by the authorities, number of people, number of communities to maintain peaceful atmosphere. Or whoever has violated all these rules and regulation, he will be liable for punishment. These types of examples we had seen in the Ramayana, Mahabharata. Suppose anybody has violated the rules and regulation, means that time they are follow the ordeal system to prove the guilty of person. Poison, ordeal of poison, or ordeal of the Agni Pariksha, means ordeal of fire. This ordeal of fire, this taste is given by the Sita for proving her character. Means friend, All these things are framed by the certain persons, certain agencies, human agency, to maintain peaceful atmosphere in the society. Next, this law has been divided into twofold. Means I'm talking about the classification of law: substantive law and procedural law. Substantive law and procedural law. Substantive law. Substantive law means what? Actually, substantive law means the set of laws, set of legal provisions. Means all these legal provisions in the writing form, written rules, and these written rules are passed by the legislature, parliament. On what basis the parliament or legislature has framed the set of law or written rules? On the basis of the people's behavior. People's behavior. Actually, the substantive law has defined the rights and responsibilities of citizens. In other words, substantive law determines rights, duties, liabilities, or responsibilities of citizens or persons, and all are imposed upon them, binding upon them. So here, these substantive law are applicable in civil and criminal cases. There is one example regarding to the civil suit or civil matter, civil case. Suppose, friends, I have borrowed 1,000 rupees from X for 1 month. I have not paid it. Means there was condition, there was agreement between me and X. On or before this month, you should have to return me 1,000 rupees. But I could not return 1,000 rupees to X. His friend. There was my liability to pay 1,000 rupees on or before the month. But I could not do so. Later, X is the aggrieved party, X is the plaintiff, and he has right to seek the legal remedy, seek the redressal, legal redressal. Means X has right and I have liability. Means friend, rights and liabilities are correlated. Means only these provisions have been provided under substantive law. Substantive law under Indian Contract Act. Means, friend, I have breached the contract. Breached the contract. And if once a person has breached the contract, and the party has right to file a case against opposite party. Means X has right to take legal action against me. So that is why he has filed a case against me under the substantive law. And that substantive law is the Indian Contract Act 1872. Why? Because Dr. Sinjambekar has breached the contract. Means he has not fulfilled the liability. That is why, right? Substantive law provides only the legal provisions, set of rules. But this substantive law shall be kept in motion under the procedural law. So this part we will discuss later. Then, in criminal case, what charges may apply, what allegations may apply, and decide whether the evidence supports the charges. Means what under criminal cases, what types of charges against the person, and for that purpose, the opposite party or court should have to admit only the relevant evidences. Means if there is a relevant charges, relevant allegations, relevant fact, on that basis we may have to produce the relevant evidences. Let's say Suppose a person is caught drunk driving. One ex-person, he was caught by the police officer, but because that person was driving his vehicle while drinking, by drinking. Okay. And as per the substantive law, it is crime. Means that person is liable for punishment. So, latter part, which things we should have to prove? Means few things would have to be proved. First, person was driving the vehicle. That person was driving the vehicle. Was that person driving the vehicle? Yes. Okay, first point is clear. Means fact is relevant, evidence is relevant. Means somebody has given the testimony, or that police officer has collected the testimony, or he has collected some evidences and shown before the court. Second, he or she was intoxicated. Whether he or she was intoxicated? Yes. At how? It is proved. For that purpose, there must be test. And in that test, means breathalyzer test is important. And in that test, to well get an idea, the person was over the legal limit, or whether he has crossed the legal limit of the intoxication. Alcohol? Then yes. Means all these things against the person. Means under criminal law, he shall be liable for punishment. So friends, there are certain examples of the substantive law. Substantive law means the law taught. Indian Contract Act, IPC, Transfer of Property Act, Hindu Marriage Act, Parsi Marriage Act, Christian Marriage Act, Adoption and Maintenance Act. Number of acts comes under substantive law, except Indian Evidence Act, CPC and CRPC. Later, we are going to discuss about procedural or executive law. Procedure. From this word, we'll get an idea of procedural law. Means there is providing procedure. It includes certain procedure. And this procedure has been provided under the three codes, three acts, CPC, CRPC, and Indian Evidence Act. So first and foremost, procedural or executive law governs the steps to process a case. It governs, it regulates the steps to process a case. Process the case, stages of the case. It is provided. A body of law that set forth the methods. Means the body of the law set forth the law. It provides the methods, rules, and procedure for court cases. Court cases means there are three things, friends. This procedural law provides methods. Method of the process of case. Rules. If we are admitting the case before the court, admitting any evidence before the court, that time what rules we must have to follow. These rules, orders has been provided under the CPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act. Then what types of procedure for court cases we must have to follow? Because concluding legal action, after that concluding legal action means through these 3 points, methods, rules and procedure for court of cases, we are taking or conducting legal actions of the persons. So here, procedural law defines the pleading and procedure. This procedural law defines pleading and procedure by which substantive law are applied in practice. Means first and foremost, procedural law provides pleading and procedure. So on that basis, this pleading and procedure will be going in the court. First and foremost, any person who must have to violate or infringe the substantive law. Then after we may apply the procedural law. And under procedural law or executive law, we may use or follow the pleading and other procedure which is provided under Indian Evidence Act, CRPC and CPC. So friend, it is one type of machinery by which substantive laws are set and kept in motion. Means under substantive law we have discussed about substantive law. Substantive law is mere legal provisions which is on the paper. But under procedural law, all these substantive laws or legal provisions shall be kept in motion or in practice under procedural law. For example, Indian Evidence Act 1872, Criminal Procedure Code 1973, Civil Procedure Code 1908. These are some examples of the procedural or executive law. Then, no substantive law can be enforced. No substantive law can be enforced without the help of rules of law of evidence, CRPC or CPC. Means friend, substantive law and procedural law are correlated to each other. Substantive law and procedural law are correlated to each other. They are interdependent to each other. Means procedural law we must have to know. Then how to use certain methods, how to follow rules, and which procedure is adequate to complete the legal proceeding. So for that purpose, every student, every lawyer, every judges must have to know about the substantive law and procedural law in the legal aspect. Thank you, friends.